I'm still really confused by this new norm of goth girls being so sought after. Because when I was in high school, up until my mid 20s, goth girls weren't pursued like that. Goths on the whole, we were made fun of, we were mocked. Certainly weren't people that were like pursued and sought after. If guys did approach us, we were the dirty little secret, and they wouldn't dare let anybody else know that they would want to consort with the likes of, a freak, for example. And when we were approached in, different ways by people outside the subculture, by normies, it was done by way of offering their unsolicited advice on how to make ourselves more attractive to them. Like, you should really lighten your hair. You should add more color into your wardrobe. You should wear blue jeans. Basically offering fashion and physical advice that is the utter antithesis to anything that was in any way related to the goth aesthetic. And that was basically the way that we were approached. But now it's bizarre. Things have done like a complete 180. And there are threads, literal threads on message boards featuring guys looking for tips and offering tips on how to get goth girls. There are just pages and pages all over the place of just thirst threads, pictures, and memes depicting goth girls as in the most objectifying way. And to be fair, that's pretty much anything relating to goth girls that's out there, created by anyone that isn't related to the subculture, is highly offensive and objectifying in nature. We've somehow become like the pinup for every guy that is bored of basic. What's kind of made things a lot worse is a combination of factors, that of which I will not get into because it will take way too much time. But a combination of factors that's led to this misconception that goth girls are somehow a different breed in bed, that we like pain, that anything goes, and no is not a word in our vocabulary. No. So as you can imagine, if you're a normie guy that has ever tried to pursue a goth girl, a bona fide goth girl, respectfully, and you were rejected, you know why. The guard is up, and it has to be up. As you can imagine, the reputation that we've very inaccurately and carelessly have been branded with by people who know nothing about the subculture, we are treated in the very way imagine a person with such a reputation would be treated. Crude, vulgar, obscene, rude, not even crossing, but like leaping over personal boundaries, and essentially treated like a dollar store girl for hire. So if you want to date a goth girl, first, ask yourself why. If your answer is, well, because they're hot, or I don't know, I've just always found myself physically attracted to goth girls, that's called a fetish. So you're not interested in them as a person, you're literally viewing them as an object, and nobody, let alone a goth, is going to give a chance in hell to anybody that they know is fetishizing them. However, if your answer is that you have deeper interests that you find you tend to not share in common with other girls, hobbies and leanings tend to be things that are more on par with something that you can mutually share and experience with a goth. Like, you have more of a common ground, like you have a whimsical love of Halloween, you like horror films, or the macabre, you like literature, maybe you like to just have a late night stroll through a graveyard. All of this is okay. These are noble reasons. However, for the noble, this will not be an easy road, because that road has been paved with big titty goth girlfriend memes, unsolicited raunchy DMs, so you got a tough road ahead there. It's really not unheard of for a goth to be in a relationship with a non-goth, or just date non-goths. It's just very natural for goths to want to date each other. I mean, there's the obvious physical attraction. We have lots in common, and there's a lot less to explain. Really think about it. If you can imagine any situation or scenario in your life that you would find yourself embarrassed by your goth girlfriend's appearance, don't even bother pursuing a relationship with them, because you either take us as we are or you don't. I've heard stories from my friends, and even myself included, who have gotten involved with, guys outside the subculture, and we do have very similar tales. And when you realize that they're there for the look, and then suddenly this doesn't come off because they feel that it's inappropriate for their parents' barbecue, there's definitely some things to consider there. Our chosen aesthetic is not a costume that could be simply swapped out for a pair of beige canvas sandals and a pastel sundress just because you need us to be normal. It doesn't work like that. These are our clothes. This is our identity. We were this way before you, and we're going to be this way long after. Music is integral to every goth's life. It is the lifeblood of our subculture. You don't have to love the music, but at the very least, give it a chance. It's not a deal breaker if you don't like it, but you're going to have to learn to deal with it. Don't try to take control of the music in their car while they're driving and listening to their music because you don't want to hear it. Because again, you are asking somebody to alter who they are to suit your preferences. I have literally been in that situation, and I had the music basically taken away from me from somebody who wasn't involved in the subculture and didn't like the music. And music was always therapy for me, and ridiculed me and shamed me to the point where I didn't listen to it anymore. And it has an effect. Music is such an intrinsic part of not just, say, me in general, just the goth subculture, that when you lose the music, you really start to lose yourself. And that's a terrible thing to do to somebody. So that music is part and parcel of who she is. So if you're not prepared to accept that goths come with their very own soundtrack and it's not going anywhere, it's over before it even started, I promise you. So on the flip side of the goth aesthetic, on the flip side of kind of dressing up, this is not a full-time job. Some dedicated goths may devote every single day to attaining the look, which can take for friggin' ever, and bless them, they for being able to pull that off. But it's not really attainable for everybody. Sometimes you don't have time. There are just varying factors, and there are some days where we just want to give the eyeliner the day off. We want to wear a nice oversized t-shirt and sweats and kind of call it a day. So the point I'm getting at is I kind of wanted to throw an example out there. There is a film from the 1940s called Gilda, and there's an actress who played Gilda by the name of Rita Hayworth. Look her up. She's a triple threat. She's acting, singing, dancing. She's absolutely incredible, and she's a stunner. And in the movie Gilda, she plays this femme fatale who's alluring, captivating, just incredible, and millions of men fell in love with her. This starlet from the golden age of Hollywood. And in her personal life, through a series of failed relationships, she was quoted as saying, "Men go to bed with Gilda, but they wake up with me." So my point with that is that if you have expectations of your goth girlfriend being the embodiment of absolute goth perfection from head to toe at all times, and you would feel cheated or disappointed should you find your girlfriend fresh-faced in her comfy blacks, again, it sounds like you're more into the idea of a goth girl and not so much the person underneath it all. I mean, at the end of the day, we're human beings. There's no reason that we would want to be treated any differently than anyone else. If you treat a goth girl with respect, a willingness to accept her for all the things that make her who she is, you don't try to shame her or even hinder her, hold her back from being herself, you're gonna get the same in return. On the whole, these guys that have a thing for goth girls, the guys who obsess over it, God, they need to do better, because they're ruining it for anyone that has noble intentions. Ask any girl, ask me, ask any goth girl with a social media what their inbox looks like, or even their comment section. And you're going to find that this hyper objectification has kind of done nothing but cause us to want to put as much physical space in between us and normie guys as humanly possible, considering the way that goes. Don't expect a girl to just strip themselves of any semblance of goth because you find the look embarrassing or you think that her appearance is inappropriate for your grandmother's 76th. Don't try to stop us from listening to our music or even attending events. Don't expect us to dress to the 9 24/7, and don't try to change us. I myself have fallen victim to that very thing, and I lost 4 years of my life. I lost 4 years of my identity and who I was, and it took me so long, just to get that back and come back to who I was. It took me finding the music again and kind of getting away from that situation. But I've been in those situations, and it's so stupid too, because you're attracted to this in the first place. And it was the same with my ex. He was attracted to me because I was goth. I didn't know at the time. He was also masquerading as goth at the time, but went through a series of identity crises where then he was a punk, then he was a skater, then he listened to rap. I can't even keep up. But by the time that goth ship had sailed for him, and here I am, I'm still goth, I was shamed. I was ridiculed. I was treated as if I were a joke. And the very music that I loved, my piece, the thing that was with me since this whole thing started for me, I was shamed for listening to. And it turned into a very anxious experience every time I would try to listen to my music, because he would be obnoxiously singing over it, making fun of me, or even just straight up turning it off. Just coming in, turning it right off. And that's no way to treat a person, because you like them for who they are, or you don't. Don't go in and try to change somebody and mold them into what you want them to be. You either accept them for the person that they are, or you don't. So with that being said, before I get too offensive, I'm going to end it here, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.